Well, that was certainly a finale of qualifying we weren't expecting, and I am fuming. Now, fuming because of one particular thing about all of this, which is we're going to be talking about it, obviously, the yellow flag. Was it single? Was it double? Should it have been single? Should it have been double? I think every single F1 fan out there who is neutral and is right of mind, not a Mercedes fan maybe, anybody who's just looking at that, will go, that should have just been a blank double yellow flag. There is a car literally in the wall. And yeah, the fact of whoever it is, and people will laugh that it's Max Verstappen and all that kind of stuff, the Max versus George stuff. I look at it and I go, there is a car that's literally gone into the wall. By the way, it's a classic meme of the dominoes meme. Max Verstappen almost goes out in Q2, and there's the steady domino effect to the chaos that his crash then causes at the back end of Q3. You've got the two Ferraris suddenly just coming out of nowhere and sticking it on the front row, and you've got the two Mercedes behind, and they're both at that point in time, very, very close. George apparently was he said he was 5/10 up. I haven't looked to the footage. Assumedly, he was quite a long way up because he's lifted, and how much you consider a lift in this generation of cars. Lifting in the first few races was just super clipping, especially around 130R. That was technically could count as a lift. But there's a car that's literally gone in the wall. How is that not double waved yellows? Because if George Russell goes around there and doesn't slow down, he could literally do the same thing. And I'm wondering whether there's possibly something to do with the active aero in all of this, because the active aero shuts literally just before turn 9, and whether it is shut in time because the Red Bull has got one of these, they call it the Macarena wing, the one where it flips the other way around, and I'm just looking at it going, has that closed in time? But he's gone in the wall. Kimi has just seen him gone in the wall and gone, clearly, yeah, that should be aborted lap, that'll be a yellow flag. In any other part of the session, that would have been a red flag. They would have red flagged it immediately. I remember in 2024, the Brazil one when Max got absolutely shafted in qualifying. You're looking at it going, why on earth did you not red flag it sooner than that if Stroll was in the wall? Why do you red flag it at a certain point? Are you going to let people finish their laps? The fact that it's happened right near the end of the lap, the fact that it's right at the end of Q3, people go, is it British bias, all that kind of stuff. It's just not. That's just people being salty. It's just luck. And George basically has had no luck all the way through. And this is a big amount of luck. Now, you can't really be a judge of penalties in that. As I'm talking about this more and more now, I'm sort of thinking about it in terms of these, whether it should have been a double yellow, whether it should have been a single yellow. There was one in 2021, I think Qatar. I think it was Qatar, where Max went through a yellow flag or a double waved yellow in qualifying, where it was the marshal waving it, I think. I'm trying to think back to the Drive to Survive. It was that little thing in Drive to Survive in that year where they were talking about it, and you then go, he got a penalty for it. He might have been full speed through it, which, to be honest, that's all that thing, but into turn 9, you have to lift anyway. So what constitutes a proper lift going into a braking zone where you're not really, or say braking zone, you're not really braking into that corner, you're sort of letting the car flow through. Anybody who's played the F1 game will know this. You're not really braking, you're just chucking it in, and yeah, he's maybe gone down a couple of gears, but is it really enough? I don't know. But the major problem for me is how is that not a double waved yellow? How is that not a red flag? We've got a car that's gone spearing off the track and has hit the wall at a reasonable speed, sideways as well. So the G-forces of it won't be the most serious of impacts that we've seen in Formula 1 recently, but it's still in the wall, irrespective of who it is. It should have been an instant, for me it should have been an instant red flag. That's what they should have done. Sorry, I am sweating here. It is very, very warm. I'm recording this on a very hot Saturday afternoon in Yates in a flat, and it's baking in here. And I'm also absolutely, fuming. And I'm fuming with the FIA and the stewards for not red flagging it Just red flag it. I don't care. Like, I'm not a Leclerc fan, right? I'm a Hamilton fan, but I'm not really a Leclerc fan. I'm a Ferrari fan. Everybody is, you know. And I look at it and go, you know. And there's also this thing of going, would Leclerc actually be better off, given the angle of how turn one goes? Would Leclerc be better off going into turn one, starting P2? Because of the angle, the way you can, if you could just get yourself alongside, you're just going to push the other driver out and you've got the lead straight off. You know, you're going to need a pretty much perfect start from pole in order to lead into turn one, pretty much, in Austria, just because of the way it, you know, the way the, the geology of the landscape going into that corner. But I don't care who it is. Like, it's a car that's gone into the wall. It's a red flag. We're in qualifying. If that happens at Q1, it's a red flag. Q2, it's a red flag. Why they haven't red flagged that, whether it's because they saw that George was on a monumental thing, whether they're thinking, oh, this will be a good story for the championship, whether they're just caught out because it'll be Max Verstappen, they're just not expecting it because it's Max Verstappen, which, I mean, when he first went, P1 originally, all of us were going, oh my God, where's that come from? And then Kimi goes and smashes it, and Russell goes and smashes it, and it's all coming in that turn 9. So he's obviously seen that and gone, I need to push even harder, and sadly ends up in the wall. He is at least starting P5, as long as he hasn't obviously damaged the gearbox. It is quite a hard hit, and he has gone in sideways. We'll have to obviously wait on that one, but fingers crossed he's okay, because that Red Bull looks really quick, and around a power track like that, it seems to have good straight line speed. I mean, I don't know why Sky is so, and some podcasters are going so against this, in the fact that Red Bull are quick on the straights, therefore they've got a good engine. Like, unless they've taken all the downforce off, which, again, it could be that, it could be the fact that their rear wing is literally a gaping chasm, and that's helping them. Maybe their active aero is helping them. I wouldn't be surprised if it's an aerodynamic, the way the active aero works, that it's an aero thing that the Red Bull is just so slippery in a straight line that it's just unbelievable. That it just doesn't matter what kind of engine it's got, it's going to be relatively quick in a straight line. You know, battery deployment, whether we think it should be as part of it or not, but as I say, I just find it absolutely astounding that we have come to this track and that's sort of the level of the safety. That we've got someone in the wall in qualifying, why have we not red flagged? I don't care when it is in the session. In the race, it'll be an instant safety car. It would be a safety car. So if it's a safety car, that's double yellow all the way around the track, preparing to stop and all that kind of stuff. So I'm a little bit confused as to how this is all going to go down. I think it sets quite a dangerous precedence now, because we're going into Silverstone. Well, if somebody has, let's say, an accident like Max did into turn 9 at Copse Corner again, but in qualifying, do we just leave it and let people just lift into Copse Corner? Because Copse Corner is a very similar corner to turn 9. I mean, if that happens, you can't then do it at Silverstone. So I just bashed the table there. There you go. So how stable my setup is. But we need clarification, and we need something to say that if a car is going on into the wall in qualifying, it's a red flag or an instant double yellow. Why that wasn't, because Antonelli, I think assumedly, because he saw a car in the wall, did the right thing. But then again, George Russell, he did the right thing. You can't blame him for what's happened here. Nobody should go after Mercedes, and nobody should go after George in all of this. Nobody should go after Max. No Ferrari should be going after it. Everybody should be looking at it and going, why didn't the stewards put a double yellow out immediately with the car being in the wall? Or, in my opinion, should have just been a red flag, end the session. Safety is everything. We've got to make sure the driver is okay. It wasn't a small crash. But yeah. Anyway, well, we're set up for a good race tomorrow anyway. I think Leclerc starting P2 will actually benefit him, actually, in the long term, because I think that Ferrari, if it starts okay, I mean, Mercedes have seemed to have got it together recently, but if Leclerc can ace a start, and we know how good he is around Austria, that, yeah, maybe we'll see a a Leclerc win tomorrow, although very unlikely, but it'll be interesting in the long run with Antonelli coming through because he has had good pace. If the temperature is as it is, then expect Lewis with the tyres to just be brilliant again. We could do 2 to 3 stoppers, so yeah. But yeah, I mean, I don't know what people are what the reaction's gonna be, but I think people are quite confused well, I'm not confused, I'm just astounded as to how that wasn't a red flag situation or a minimum double yellow straight away. So, well, we'll have to wait and see with what tomorrow brings. We've obviously got the F3 and the F2 feature races, which are always chaotic at Austria, so definitely will be watching them if I can. And then on to the race, and then we off into the thick of it with Silverstone to come. In my opinion, possibly the best racetrack. Maybe alongside, I mean, that's difficult, but on the grid, but that's for another conversation. But anyway, take care. And anyway, remember, red flags.